a bracelet someone lost. It has 2 pearls on the end, so see me afterwards if this is yours. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Laura and Anton for our opening song. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
We're going to do a song that we wrote, and it's new, but sing along with whatever you can.
We're going to double the chorus the first time, so you'll be able to get it.
You can sing the chorus twice.
There's a new way. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need, and I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need, so I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need.
One more time.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks
for all my blessings.
For all my blessings. Gives me everything I
need. Indeed, God gives us everything we need. All right. I think most of you know I'm Kimberly Hawkins, Senior Minister here. I am so excited to see everybody on the platform, stage, amphitheater, whatever you want to call it this morning. We have Laura Stewart, our practitioner and ministerial school student, who will be doing our invocation and reading shortly. And of course, Anton Miserak and Laura Berryhill are beautiful musicians. Let's recognize right away our video crew who have worked so hard to set this up and make sure our, yeah. So we have Ben Rummel, Shannon Schnibbe, Connie Miner, Bill Miner, Jason Rummel, and Vivian Lacey. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to our board members who helped organize this whole thing. You're awesome. And thank you all for being here. As you know by now, we are an inclusive, progressive, spiritual community. We are dedicated to helping everyone be the very highest and best version of themselves they can be, and also to helping to make sure that we have a world that works for everybody. I think that's all I need to say before we go now to a solo by Anton and Laura. Take it away. Oh, you know what? Let me do one more recognition. I see the Alec family here. We have a couple graduations that I just want to recognize. Finn graduated, yes, past tense. Friday. Finn Alec graduates from high school. And Sophie, Shannon Schnibby's daughter, graduated this week from middle school and will be entering high school next year. Woohoo! And I know Travis, Starla, and Jim's grandson and Alexa's cousin graduated from high school as well. So, yay, graduates! All right, now.
Actually, now we're going to have a lovely practitioner.
Thank you so much. Laura.
Good morning, everybody. So oh my God, it is so good to see all of you here. I mean, taking a look at everything that we've been through this last year, everything that we have moved through, overcome. I know, speaking for myself, that I have leaned heavily into the teachings that Science of Mind has offered, that I have so willingly taken up. And I imagine that you too have as well. This is an amazing point for us right now. We are turning the page on a new chapter, not only of being able to come together, but of what and who we are as a spiritual community. So I'm going to kind of go off script a little bit. And I don't know about you, but I was drawn to Science of Mind. I was drawn. I wasn't pushed by fear. I was pulled by this inner longing to know myself more, to be around like-minded people. And that led me to becoming a practitioner. And this morning when I was journaling, I kept getting these little God hits, because we are welcoming 2 new amazing practitioners into our fold today. And it gave me an opportunity to reflect on why I wanted to become a practitioner. It allowed me the opportunity to reflect on, are those reasons still valid? Are those reasons showing up in the world as me? And if not, how am I coming into this world a little differently, and what do I need to tweak a little bit? And I feel that each and every one of us here today has an opportunity to ask ourselves the same questions. What brought you here? What were you seeking? What was your soul calling for? And as importantly, what are you here to do? How are you here to serve? Because so often we enter a new part of our life looking at the ways that we can get something from someone or an organization or the next phase of our life. But really, the only way that we can get is through giving. So I invite everyone here to take the time to think about, why are you here? How are you meant to show up in the world? And what is yours to give? Thank you.
A song by Paramahansa Yogananda.
Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me. just for once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee.
Thank you, Laura and Anton. Ah. My intention for today was twofold: that all of us feel connection and be uplifted. And I think, I don't know, I can't speak for all of you, but I'm feeling that already. So just seeing you is doing that, and hearing the music and hearing Laura share. So my talk title this morning, you may have already guessed because Laura spoke to it so beautifully, is The Soul's Call. I don't know about you, but I have always been fascinated by this word soul. I've been attracted to this word soul. Anytime I see a book with the word soul in it, I tend to want to buy it and read it. And I think it's because it points to something larger than what we usually think of about ourselves. Something that's hard to describe, a bit of a mystery, but that larger idea of who we are, that eternal idea of who we are. We see the word soul in a lot of our idioms, and they're powerful. You know, we talk about that something is good for our soul, or someone is a kindred soul, a soul brother, a soul sister. We talk about bearing one's soul, meaning being completely authentic and open and telling our truth. And we talk about putting one's heart and soul into something. C.S. Lewis said, "You don't have a soul. You are a soul." In other words, we're souls having a body, having a physical experience. And the Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "You could never arrive at the limits of the soul, no matter how many roads you traveled, so deep is its mystery." And I don't know about you, but I love that. I love that idea of mystery. I love that idea that God is something far grander and bigger and more expansive than we can possibly really get our human brains around, and that includes us because we're part of the divine. This is what our founder, Ernest Holmes, founder of our philosophy, The Science of Mind, said about this. He said, "We believe we are each individualizations of the one spirit. We believe in the eternality, immortality, and continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding." So, right, we're talking about that eternal part of us, that part that cannot die, that cannot even be damaged in any way. We can experience hurts, betrayals, physical illness, and so on the physical plane, but our souls are unchangeable. They're whole, perfect, and complete always. As Laura referred to in her her beautiful little message, I really think that each one of us answered a soul's call when we found New Thought, or when we found CSL. I don't know about you, but when I first walked into Peggy Bassett's church in Huntington Beach 20-some years ago, I felt at home. I resonated with what was being said. And I know that that's true for most of us, that we felt like it was coming home. Our souls felt welcome there. And this morning, after, I think, 14 months of not really seeing each other physically, and if we did, we were masked, seeing everybody today, I'm reminded that we are soul family. Everyone here is part of a soul family. So when I thought about the soul's call, I think there are two basic categories, two basic ways our soul calls to us. Of course, our individual callings are unique and different in many ways, but the two basic fields in which that soul's call falls, I believe, are the soul's call for connection. Connection to the divine, as the divine, knowing that we are part of God, we can never be separate. It is in, through, around us all the time. We long to feel that, and I think that's part of the reason we come to a celebration like that, is to feel that presence, which music so deeply takes us to that place of connection. And the second longing, the second category, I think, that our souls call, our longing happens, is the longing for connection to one another, right? I mean, that's why we're all here today. That's why we're, I think, I can speak for most of us, happy to be finally connecting. Ernest Holmes said, we long for and need a conscious union with the infinite. This is as necessary to the nature and intellect of man, and I would add, of woman, as food is to the well-being of the physical body, that conscious union with the divine. So how do we hear our soul's call? How do we know when our soul is calling? I think the very first way we know is when we get quiet. We have to get still, because boy, the busyness of life, it just overpowers any still small voice inside, right? So meditation, getting quiet, journaling, as Laura mentioned, then we tend to hear what our soul really wants to whisper to us. And here's another way, I think, that we tune into the soul's calling, and it's something I didn't realize until this week when I experienced it. I think when we begin to take a retrospective look at our lives, and we look at where are the places you were most touched, you were most gratified, you felt the happiest or the most fulfilled, and you will see an area that your soul called you to. So this week, I was able to see that in myself and in others, because it was on my mind. So here's one example. I was at my naturopathic physician this week, who is an acupuncturist and an intuitive healer. She's really amazing. And she told me a story. We were sharing our stories of poison ivy and poison oak. I love to hike, she loves to hike, and we both had war stories about poison ivy and poison oak. She told me this incredible story of making friends with poison oak, and I won't tell you that story right now, but what she said to me was, when I was 18 years old, I studied with an herbalist. And I went, wow, I'm not surprised to hear you say that, because that was your soul's calling. Already at 18, that's what she was interested in, enough to go study with an herbalist, eventually became a naturopathic physician. So as I look back at my own life, this, by the way, is Pride Month, right? The month when we celebrate our GLBTQ friends and family. And I realized that I had a calling related to those issues. I grew up in a family of 3 children. I was the oldest, and I'm straight. My brother Rob was a gay man, and my sister Kristen, who many of you know, she was here on this stage almost a year ago with me, is a lesbian. And obviously they, like many gay people, they didn't know that, necessarily concretely when they were young, but they eventually came out as young adults, and the family embraced them, and we adjusted and so on. But I became acutely aware, because I have 2 family members, of the prejudice that still exists and the challenges faced by people who are non-heterosexual. So it's really interesting what happened, because when I was a TV news reporter in Phoenix, Arizona, actually after I left Daily News, I began to write and produce documentaries. And I was approached by the PBS station in Phoenix. At the time, PBS nationally was doing half-hour specials on the AIDS epidemic. And I was asked, nobody knew my background, but I was asked, my brother was dying of AIDS at the time, by the way. I was asked to do 4 half-hour specials for our local PBS station related to the AIDS epidemic. And it was quite healing for me to be connected to the gay community in Phoenix at the time. And I felt on purpose because I was helping to educate people in an area that I felt was very near and dear to my heart. Fast forward a few years later, well, here's another example, and I share these not because they're all important, but as examples so that you may begin to look at your life and see where their soul's calling happened in your life. When I was in my 20s, not too much older than my natural path, I was involved with, in Boston with a group called Reevaluation Counseling. I took classes and began to teach classes, and it was a movement of peer counseling to help people be the best they could be. It was a human growth movement. And, you know, then became got a master's in counseling, eventually became a minister. I mean, I see that soul's calling existed when I was a young adult. So this other area now, when it comes to GLBTQ issues, I was a counselor later on at Phoenix Country Day School in Phoenix. And I went to a summer conference put on by an organization called GLSEN, G-L-S-E-N. Some of you may know it. Gay, Lesbian, Straight, Educational Alliance, or something, what that the N is. And at that conference out in California, each person who attended was asked to pick a project. And my project as the counselor of the upper school at Phoenix Country Day was to form a gay-straight alliance for the kids and the teachers. Now, I realized at the time that I probably couldn't just go and hang a sign up and say, come to the Gay Straight Alliance, that it would need to be driven by one of the students. So you know how it happens. You know, you science of mind, you religious scientists, when you set an intention, what happens? God moves in, right? So not 2 weeks into the school year, when I came back in September, I was approached by 2 female students. Ms. Hawkins, we want to form a Gay-Straight Alliance. Will you help us? I went hip, 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 right, yay. So I accompanied them to the office of the headmaster of the whole school, and I got to tell you, I had a little trepidation about that. I wasn't sure what he would say. So we went in and made our proposal, and Galen Brewster was, thank you, Laura, was an amazing ally. He said, of course, I support you fully. But he said, something that bothered me at the time, he said, I don't want you to call it the Gay Straight Alliance when you advertise it. I want you to put it under the umbrella of our existing multicultural club. And I was a little disappointed about that until later I realized the wisdom of that. Because we had students who were gay, knew they were gay, but weren't out to their parents, some of whom were very, very conservative Christians and would not have approved. And who knows how they would have reacted. So by calling it a multicultural club and meeting under that umbrella, students were free to come and participate and not get into trouble at home. But I think about that now, you know, that was my soul's calling, and that was me answering, thank God. Got to turn my paper backside up so I can read it. All right. I'm good, Lord, thank you. So again, you know, my invitation to you today is to take a retrospective look. We'll let that one go, I'm done with it. A retrospective look at your own jobs, roles, passions, hobbies, volunteer work. You know, what had meaning for you in this life so far? And, you know, look a little deeper to the clue of what was going on there. What was your soul's calling? So here's one more thing I want to share with you about this. Some of you know I've been taking a class online with Reverend Elisha Christopher. Many of you know him. He's been a guest speaker with us. He's a very young minister in our movement, powerful. He has put together a new mystery school, if you will, called Synthesis. He's bringing together, synthesizing science of mind teachings with some of the teachings of Gene Houston, who has been his mentor for several years. It is powerful. And once again, this class that involves maybe 4 ministers and other people who've been in science of mind a long time, we were asked to come up with a project. Well, my project, you've heard me talk about this one a lot in the past, and I've never got it off the ground yet. My project was to have an interfaith group here in Medford that I could be a part of that would not only share our faith traditions in respect and love and in openness, but would also engage in social activism in the community to really help make a world that works for everybody. Yeah. Don't clap yet. Okay. So I'm in this class, and we're going along, and he's presenting all these ways that these two theories come together, and I'm getting a little impatient, thinking, I signed up for this class so that I'd get a push to do what I've said I wanted to do forever. By the way, the reason this was in my heart, at least the visible reason it was in my heart, I was on the board of a huge interfaith council called South Coast Interfaith Council in Long Beach, California, that had every religion, you know, think about the LA area, every religion you can imagine, right? Hindus, Zoroastrians, Buddhisms, every form of Christianity that you can think of, and it was powerful. The executive director, Melia, had graduated from Harvard Divinity School and was a Muslim woman who, by the way, her first day at Harvard Divinity School was 9/11. Talk about, yeah, she came from a rural area, the only Muslim family in that area. Anyway, I digress. So, what my mentors, including Reverend Elisha, said to me is, hey, be patient. Because what do we know in Science of Mind? We pray, we set an intention, we plant the seed, and do we have to make it happen? No. We have to follow guidance when it's given, but we don't have to work hard to make it happen. So sure enough, a couple weeks ago, I guess it was 3 now, I wrote my talk on Thursday morning, and I didn't have anything I had to do right away, and I thought, well, okay, how am I going to spend the rest of the day? I Googled open and affirming churches in Medford, thinking, until we find our permanent place, which is coming, it would be good to be able to share space and not have to pay the whole thing, right? By the way, if I had found a Jewish community, that might have been perfect because they don't meet Sunday morning, but there is no Jewish formal community in Medford. They're all in Ashland. So I put together my list, and I decided, well, I'll go by a couple of the buildings and look at them. There's a reason why I'm telling you this. Some of you know what it is. And the first building I visited was Medford Congregational UCC Church right here on Jackson Street, United Church of Christ. I pulled into the parking lot, and it was busy. There was stuff going on. There were people there that were very friendly, and I thought, oh, maybe I should go talk to the minister. So they took me in to the office of Reverend Laura Lee Kent, who some of you met, some of our board members, and Nancy Clay, and some of our Sunday team. I sat down and had a chat with her, and she was a soul sister. I mean, I recognized it immediately. They are so akin. They're a Christian community, and they are open, progressive, committed to social justice, and they're doing it. They are feeding, they're making 100 sandwiches, even throughout COVID, to feed the hungry and homeless, unhoused here in Medford in coordination with another Presbyterian church. So she has her own interfaith council really going on right now with other progressive communities. And I found out that there is a formal interfaith group that was meeting online before COVID. So I have the makings already. But more important, I'm connected to somebody who feels like I do, like we do. And I just love that, you know? So not only did I find a place where we can share our space, which was my original intention, but without even forcing it or thinking about it, I found the beginnings of our interfaith group. So the board and I have decided that starting in July, we will be paying UCC less than we were paying the Scottish Rite Center to share their space on Sunday. They have a beautiful sanctuary, a big social hall, 2 big kitchens. It is amazing. As the board and other team members came to visit to check it out, people walked through and they saw signs like this. There was one that said, support marriage equality. There was another one that said, immigrants and refugees welcome. Another one said, a just world for all. And they walked around like I kind of did, like, oh, these are our people. And I don't mean to say that not every, and that's part of my talk, we're all our people, but these were soul sisters and brothers. So we sent out a survey. Many of you responded, and thank you. Over 50 of you responded already, because we need to meet temporarily in the afternoon as we share their space, because they meet in the morning. So we're asking people to say their preference. Would you prefer 1 o'clock in the afternoon Sunday or 4 o'clock in the afternoon Sunday? The facility is very, very busy. And when we visioned a community center that would be open and there'd be a lot of community groups going. And that's what's happening in this church. We foresee many possibilities to do joint picnics, activities, classes, service projects. It's very exciting to me. And I promise you that this is temporary while we look for our new home. But we need to, build up our income again, come together, probably have a capital campaign and so on. But I am so grateful the way this happened. Thank you, Laura. Oh, no. Please, if you haven't answered that survey, please do. We would still like to have your input. So, back to this class with Reverend Elisha. Last class, he talked to us about our project, and he said, let's look at the deeper reason that you've each chosen this project. Now, I want you to know that when we have an urging to do something, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Maybe having an interfaith group to do social action is a fairly big project. There are bigger projects, and there are projects that you might have that seem smaller, but they're not. That's what I learned. A couple people in the group expressed in the check-in last Tuesday that they felt their project was kind of self-centered or small or selfish. For example, one man wants a relationship. He wants a committed, spiritually based, romantic relationship. Another woman was working on her health. She just wants to be healthier and stronger. And someone else was writing a book about the history of her family. And they were thinking, this is small, but when we went through this process to look at the deeper reasons, our deeper why our soul is calling us to do something, what came out was mind-boggling powerful. Because what was behind every project was on some level seeing a world that worked for everybody, helping others and everyone around us. So we all know, and those of you who are in a committed relationship know, those relationships heal the world. Those relationships send ripples out across the globe. That's not just a personal thing. The woman who wanted better health realized that her family for generations wasn't good at taking care of themselves. She had many relatives that have died at a young age, and she wants to stop that generational hurt and model for everybody in their family and outside their family healthy living, supportive living. And what was the other one? Oh, the book. I mean, they're all something that can help make a difference in the world. So here was the process briefly. Elisha had us write what we felt the deeper purpose of our project was. Then we chose 10 people either in history, and you can do this, either in history or fiction that represent the ideal. Well, first of all, you pick 10 people in history that represent the ideals of your project. So I picked people like Jean Houston, Marianne Williamson, Dalai Lama. I had 10 people. Then you take 3 qualities that each of those people represent for you. So each of us did this, and I'm going to take a quick sheet if I can find my sheet here because I can't remember. Whoa, that's interesting. Okay. Barbara Marx Hubbard was another one. The Parliament of World Religions, that my experience there was another institution that for me represented what I wanted to come up with. So here are the 3 qualities that I came up with. Inspiring, visionary, and honoring of all people and all paths. So I'm going to read to you my purpose